COVID-19 crisis here in Illinois. 47 more people have died in the past 24 hours.
Please make no mistake that people will die because of Thanksgiving gatherings.
But if we fail to count everyone in Illinois, it could result in the state losing over $195 million per year.
Hello, my viewers. It's Christmas time again, and what a lovely year. Now, if you're like me, if you are, please seek medical attention immediately. You love nothing better than a good holiday movie. Nothing screams Christmas more than a good hot cup of chocolate, a nice fire, and watching the cinematic Jim Elf bowling under the mistletoe.
Who pooped in a peanut barrel?
We all have our favorite Christmas movies. Some love Home Alone, others Elf.
Santa's coming to town!
Santa! Oh my God!
And many love the overrated garbage that is Christmas Story.
Immediately, my feet began to sweat. Blue button eyes.
So, what's mine, the two of you may ask? Yeah, Thomas, what's your favorite Christmas movie? Well, I like A Christmas Carol. Yeah, as well known as the story is, you don't really hear it being talked about all that much over the holiday season. I always found this strange. It's probably the best Christmas-related story out there. Charles Dickens' classic story of an old miser at the end of his life getting redeemed was always fascinating to me. I guess I was always drawn to it because it was such a dark story, which is not typically something you'd see around the holiday season. Maybe it's all these depressing elements that make me, and many others, appreciate Christmas time even more. As early as 1849, 6 years after its publication, Dickens struggled with copyright laws. With him failing to renew it, the book fell into public domain, meaning anyone, yes, anyone, could adapt it. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, every adaptation of A Christmas Carol. I've tried to do this almost every year I've had this channel, with each year concluding with me never getting around to it. Well, this year is different. I will do a quick review of each and every one, and spend time away from my very important Pirates film, delaying it even longer than it already has been. Before we begin, a quick couple of rules. 1. No parodies. I will include only those that are a direct adaptation of the book. As much as I adore Bill Murray's Scrooge, it is a parody, so I won't include it in this video. Number 2. No special episodes or holiday themes. As much as I'm sure the Flintstones or... Don't make me say it, please. All Dogs Go to Heaven, The Christmas Carol are beloved by many. I won't include them in this video. Number 3. Only ones that are noteworthy. Due to the sheer number of adaptations, it will be impossible for me to track down every one. So I will only include the ones that I deem the most noteworthy to talk about. With all that out of the way, let's begin with the very first adaptation of A Christmas Carol, 1901's Marley's Ghost. Wait, what? In 1901, film was not a new medium by any means. Several experimental films have been made before, but it was not the powerhouse we know it today. I'd argue probably not until Birth of a Nation did movies really transform into the powerhouse we know them today. Someone in the comment section will probably correct me on how wrong I am. Anyway, many of these newly created film studios were eager to establish themselves, and they often made a series of shorts based on popular books. One such was A Christmas Carol. At 119 years old, this is the very first film adaptation of A Christmas Carol I could track down. For today's cultured eyes, it's nothing special. Full of these long, static shots that are arranged almost like a stage play, which is what most of these actors were used to at the time. You can see evidence of this in the guy who plays Scrooge. He's really over the top. Performers would often over-exaggerate themselves because, well, the films were silent, and the only way to really get yourselves across was through body language. Thankfully, the style of acting toned down big time as silent films evolved, but unfortunately, it plagued many of these very early films. According to IMDb, the film was longer, but time has not been kind, and only about 4 minutes remain. Even with the missing footage somehow found, I doubt this would make sense. You see, in these really early adaptations, audiences had to read the book to understand what was going on. Title cards existed, but actual dialogue cards themselves were very rare. From what I can gather, it tells the same story. The only main difference being is that it's Marley instead of the three spirits who show Scrooge around. He's dressed in a weird robe for some reason in this one without any chains. Instead of Scrooge being transported to the past and present and the future, he's shown these events by Marley through a black screen in his house. While it is an interesting bit of history, it's really not much. I guess it was cool to see Merry Xmas as early as 1901. I had no idea the phrase was that old. Unless you're a really big history buff or a die-hard Scrooge fan, you probably won't get much out of this. Though I am really impressed how it's managed to survive for 119 years. With that said, I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. Moving on. Next on our journey is an adaptation from 1910, simply titled A Christmas Carol. This one is a good length for the era it was produced in, clocking in at about 13 minutes. This one has a lot more production value in it. even with a 9-year jump in technology. I'm legitimately impressed with some of the effects in this. Marley's face on the doorknob and the ghost-like appearance of the specters are eerie, even all these years later. Like Marley's ghost, however, a lot of this takes place in Scrooge's house, with him being shown visions through a black screen. While these are neat to look at, it isn't nearly as effective as him going back to these actual places. This is an improvement on Marley's ghost, but a lot of the same theater style of acting and cinematography is present in this one. It's still full of those long, same static shots, and Scrooge's actor being as goofy as ever. Also, it is pretty obvious the same actress is playing all three spirits. I mean, you gotta cut the cost somehow. Overall, this is a really neat look into the past and a nice bit of film history. I wouldn't mind watching this again during Christmas sometime. I am giving this one a 7 out of 10. Though there are many early silent versions of Scrooge, it is impossible for me to look at all of them because many no longer exist. This was the fate of most films that came out during this time period. It's truly a miracle that some are still around to view, considering what happened to 90% of them. It's hard for a person in the 21st century to comprehend how a film can just become lost. After all, how does one lose such an expensive investment? For a long time after a film was screened, it would normally go back into an archive. If one was really lucky, it might be re-released down the road. There was no such thing as DVDs, VHS, or Laserdisc. Ask your parents, kids. So often these films would just sit in these vaults, never to see the light of day again. Many films from this era are lost due to the deterioration that comes of age, studio vault fires, or just plain negligence. Like most of the films from this era, this was the fate for the majority of Scrooge adaptations. According to Wikipedia, yes, I'm using that as a source, there is a version from 1908 that is lost. There is also a version from 1916, 1923, and even as late as 1928. Perhaps one of the most infamous Scrooge movies that is lost is from 1913, with Seymour Hicks as Scrooge. If that name sounds familiar, you might have seen him in the 1935 version, if your family is one of the heathens that actually watches that during Christmas time. We'll get to that version in the next episode. I wonder if any information exists about this one. Perhaps if I insert it into YouTube, I can find something. Oh my god.
Oh.
While I was writing the outline for this video, Wikipedia said that this one was lost, and I intended to skip over it. After all, I can't review a lost film. But I decided just to double check, and I searched it up on YouTube. And I found it. On December 4th, 2020, someone actually found a copy of this and uploaded it. What a Christmas miracle. And a miracle for me to review it. Yay. Let's take a look at this film that's been lost for over 107 years. Almost immediately, I was very shocked about the length of this. This one clocks in at almost 40 minutes. I'm sure this wasn't a first for the 1910s era, but a rare sight indeed. To my knowledge, this is the first adaptation that uses actual dialogue cards, which means the audience could finally understand what was going on without any prior knowledge. Though the same problems with the previous adaptations plague this one. For example, the same overly exaggerated theater style of acting is present here, with Seymour Hicks being the goofiest out of them all. The long takes without any cuts still run rampant in this one. And once again, it's Marley that shows in the past, present, and future. And he's shown these events through a black screen in his house once again. And of course, Marley still looks nothing like his book counterpart.
Interesting.
Though props to whoever did the makeup on him, it actually looks pretty creepy. Something that sets this version apart is the introduction about Charles Dickens. This was pretty neat to look at. It reminds me of a similar tactic The Lost World used, having Arthur Conan Doyle sit down and introduce the novel. It was interesting to see its improvement with its predecessors, but really only slightly. I'm giving this one a 6. 1914. What a year. Some Serbian asshole shot an even bigger Austrian asshole, causing a world war. The Germans, with their awesome spiked helmets, were busy murdering innocent people in Belgium, and Woodrow Wilson was busy being Woodrow Wilson. But something interesting happened that year. On Christmas Eve on the Western Front, the troops stopped fighting. On Christmas Day, the English and Germans came out of their trenches. They exchanged gifts, such as chocolate, sauerkraut, and even played soccer together. Even during a war, enemies could put aside their differences and come together for the beloved holiday. Unfortunately, the imperialistic system that Dickens wrote so passionately against prevailed in the end. The German high command was outraged and sent the troops to Russia, where most of them probably died a horrible death. The fighting resumed almost immediately, with both sides making it impossible for another truce to happen in 1915. Despite this iconic moment in history is still being taught today. In the middle of the war to end all wars, the themes of Christmas were able to prevail at the front and at home. In 1914, the London Film Company produced their version of Scrooge. Clocking in at about 22 minutes, this is the first version I feel is a proper adaptation, even if it does have its flaws. The others that came before it were broken, and had elements from the book, but were not complete translations of the source material. This time, however, it is different. The three ghosts are finally included. Yeah, that's kinda weird. Only just now are they in the story. I was very impressed with the quality of the film. At a time when official government cameramen at the front recorded it in this quality, this is quite an accomplishment. Those long shots without any cutting are finally done away with. There's even some cross-cutting, the likes of which would make even D.W. Griffith blush. Even the guy playing Scrooge is a lot less cartoony, playing him like a normal person. I thought I was going to fall in love with this version, but it has many flaws. I'm assuming parts of this film are lost, because there are several really abrupt cuts in this. The segments of the past, present, and future, while included, are incredibly rushed. Really important elements from the book are also excluded. Scrooge's first love, and even something that's crucial as Tiny Tim's death, isn't in this version. As a side note, something I was really bugged by is how you can actually see the face of the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of his character? And I know this is really nitpicky, but the actress that plays Mrs. Cratchit is rather plump. For a starving poor family, she seems to be pretty well fed, but that's really just picking at straws and not really a valid criticism. Overall, this was a great improvement on the ones that came before it, but it has many new flaws that could have been easily avoided. Overall, a 7 out of 10. The last stop on our journey takes us to 1922. I really don't have much to say about this one. It's pretty much the same as all the others. Seeing the old-timey effects of the ghost is always unsettling, so props there. And at least they kept the three spirits in this time, and...
Oh my god, how embarrassing.
Yes, this was approved by the director. That long-ass nose was approved by the director. Something that is a positive, at least in the copy that I watched, was the custom soundtrack. It added to the experience, and made me uneasy in many scenes. I'll leave the link below. Overall, this is nothing special, and I'll probably never watch it again. 6 out of 10. Phew, that was exhausting. When I attempted to do this years prior, I remember there only being 2 Silent Scrooge versions. I had no idea there were so many. Next time we'll finally look at some early sound versions. Even if it probably won't be made by Christmas, it'll still get made. Thank you all for tuning in, and Merry Christmas. I'll see you next time.